Hi, folks. Thank you again for coming to Back to Basics for Season 3. Today, we're going to speak with Derick Gant, and we're going to find out what he's all about. Mainly, what we're going to be talking about is money, the 24K life money of what he has done. He's taken care of people who struggle with money, difficult times, good times, bad times, whatever it is. It's all about money. And that is all we're going to talk about. And making sure that people get motivated when it comes to making money or losing money. Well, you'll have to listen to the episode today. Let's go and get on the show, and I'll see you there. Take care. Hi, folks. Thank you again for coming on to Back to Basics, another week. We're almost done with the season for Season 3. Really, really amazing. Thank you again for all the support and love that you're showing me, or I should say, showing my show for that matter. Today, we're going to speak with Derick, and we're going to talk about the new way of making money. I don't know about that. But there's one thing that we are going to be talking about is the new game of money. What are we talking about that? And Derick is the person that I want to go and talk to. Well, I should say I have to talk about because he's here. So let's stop talking to me and let's talk to Derick to get to know him better. And Derick, how are you? Thanks for coming to Back to Basics.
Thank you for having me on Back to Basics. I am actually honored to be a guest closing out Season 3. We're going to make sure we close this out with a bang and that we bring all the good stuff.
Of course. Thank you again, Derick, for coming here and supporting this small podcast that I have here.
So it's not that small. You're just modest.
Okay. Thank you for those kind words. But before we get to the details of the money and the new game or the new play, what does Back to Basic mean to you?
From our professional perspective, Back to Basics is all about making sure that you are doing the core things. There's so many distractions out here. People are getting Amazon deliveries every day and they lose track of what their credit is, what their debts are. So getting back to the basics, making sure your core financial structure is solid.
Yeah, thank you again. But is it as simple as that for being the solid credit score person, the balance and mindset?
Our society is driven off of credit scores, is driven off of your ability to honor your debts, to make sure that you can take care of the little things. 76% of people making under $50,000 are living check to check. And 51% of people that make $100,000 or left are living check to check. So no, it's not simple to get to the basics, but we need to get back to the basics.
Yeah. Derick, thank you again for being here. And thank you again for answering that question. I'm going to go right to the money part, if that's okay with you, because it seems like we don't motivate enough for people to, I guess, spend, save, or spend for that matter, right? It seems like we're overspending sometimes. You get $50 as your salary and you spend 70, right?
Exactly.
So what are your thoughts on that? And how do we stop doing that? Or do we think a new way of spending? Or is a new way of saving? Which one is it?
No, there's no new. It's back to the basics, which is why I wanted to come on your show because yes, it's people, if they make $50, they're spending $70, and those $20 is on credit, on prepayments, on all sorts of crazy ideas and things that people are doing. And it is what makes the machine go. It was the reason why, at least domestically, so many people received equal, if not more money from the government, in the form of those weekly payments. And they were actually making it work, which made it incredibly difficult to get people to go back to work once it was time to do that. And so, no, it's not new. What we need to do is we need to go back to where you remember, maybe you don't remember, but I remember the conversation. I wasn't there in 29 But I remember the conversations of my grandparents, and they were scared to death to spend more money than they had to spend. Not only afraid to spend more money than they had to spend, they definitely did not spend all that they brought into the house.
Yeah, no, definitely I was not there for sure. Okay, Derek, thanks again for making sure that I was not on the 29.
Yes.
But I understand exactly what you're saying, because the examples that I get from my parents and the previous, no matter moons ago, they usually say I spent 5 cents on a movie, or I walked to a certain distance to save money so that I can have
Right.
bread and butter in my table, right?
Right.
But today, I don't think that's the case. I think we want and want and want. So now the question is need versus want, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
so
prioritizing is critical. I tell my clients that are willing and ready, because you got to be ready for this conversation. But I tell them, as an example, hey, write down everything that you want to get. So to give you an example, I have mid six figure clients. They they do well income wise, but they have kids, they have spending, and so we did was we realized that so we stopped using the credit cards, but we still realized that they were ordering all the time on Amazon. So what I had them do was every time you wanted something, you, spouse, the kids, whomever, you'd write it down. So you keep this ongoing list for your online purchases. And if you wanted those things 30 days later, so you can put everything that you wanted on this list. And next month, 30 days later, if you still wanted it, you could go get it. And what they found out was that they were constantly adding things to the list. So the priorities were constantly being recycled.
mm,
So it reduced their buying by at least 60%, 60, 70%.
yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, the way I did it, and I don't know if this is the right way, I take that amount, or I should say, take that product
Hmm.
and put it into the cart, and I think about it for the next 48 hours. And if
Yep,
I don't want it within those 48 hours, which means I really did not really need it at that,
exactly.
so then I just push it away to the wish list. And guess what happened, Derek? I
You
never
did.
went back to the list.
You don't say you never went back and got it. Yeah, but I didn't like the day or two, because they were constantly wanting to buy things. So I had them go 30. Make it really, really, really decide you wanted it. So you're right, the cart's full, but they would just take it out of the cart. We don't need that. I'd rather get this. And then they wait 30 days. And I guess I don't need that. I'd rather get this. And it's just this cycle that kept continuing. And you were asking me about the wave of the future, and it's going to get more difficult because of the way money's going to operate. I mean, we're going to be digitized 100%.
Mm.
It's going that direction.
So, me and my mom, we were just talking about this recently. She always likes to have cash in her purse
Hmm.
because she likes to spend on the cash basis, because she knows exactly how much it is in her hand.
Exactly.
So the way we're thinking nowadays, Derek, is all digitalized, right? So
Right.
which means that we don't know how much we're spending. So do you think it's more of the mind play as to the money in your hand versus money in your hand, if that makes sense?
Yeah, no, I agree. And it is, of course, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist per se, but of course, the system is going to make it easier for you to continuously spend money that you don't realize that you have or not. And it's easier to make that play. If you have $125 in your hand, if your mom has $125 in her hand and she wants to go to the grocery store, and then she wants to buy a nice Bergen bag, or not a Bergen bag, but she wants to buy something, she knows exactly how much money she has in her hand. And
Exactly.
she has to make some judgments, and she has to prioritize, and she has to decide which one is going to be most important for her needs. When you are just swiping your card, and now you're not even swiping your card, you're just taking your telephone and you're holding it up to the little kiosk thing and hoping it dings.
So how do we teach the new folks to save money, I guess, or to spend money wisely? I mean,
Yeah.
or is it, do we need to teach ourselves new skills to make more money so then we can make more mistakes? Does that make does that make sense?
Well, how about we take a little bit from both? How about we make more money, which is always great, but how about we um, I hate to use the word budget, but how about we at least allocate properly? So, one of the easiest things to do is to have a spending account. So, I have my clients and I personally do it. I separate my need money. So, the money that's going for car and insurance and home ownership, mortgages, your cable bill and your utilities, all that money goes into a general fund. If you were a business, and I treat my clients like their companies, goes into a general fund for their specific bills, and then they have a spending account. And so if you were to link your debit card on your telephone or whatever, if you only had a debit card to that account, or for me, I like to use the touchless system, so I'll use my telephone, but it's linked to that spending account. So inside that spending account is only money that's there for me to buy groceries, to buy, clothing items, to go to the movies, to do the extra things in life, so that I don't touch my account that has my emergency money.
Mm,
It doesn't touch my account that has my bill money. It just touches the account that's set aside for me to spend.
mm. So that's a good way of spending and not spending. That we got that down packed.
Yep.
But the thing is that it's how do we motivate people to do that? Because it seems like eh, w- it's like we're pushing the people from the window saying that this is the new way of thinking,
Right.
right? So how do we motivate people to do that?
Well, I don't. I know this is a great positive show, and I always speak the truth. And I don't believe that you can motivate people. I've been doing what I do for over 38 years. So what my job is to touch those 20%, of people that are ready to say I'm tired of always kind of living life on the edge and not knowing what I have and maybe not having enough money for my bills. That 51% I told you about that make $100,000 that are still living check to check,
Mm.
they're making a choice. And until they run into a brick wall, most people aren't going to make changes because people do not like change. So I believe that you and I, right this second, are talking to the 20% that are saying, look, I don't want to be hemmed up. I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be pressed. I don't want to be financially stressed out.
Mm.
So I need a new way of thinking. And so therefore, they're not really being motivated. They're being educated. They're saying, look, I'm going to reach to get educated on how I can level up this game and be a participant, not be a slave to it.
Yeah. So thank you again for that. So how do we teach that game? What is a game do you think that we should start with?
I think that what people should do is they should count their pennies. I tell people that every dollar has a duty. So if you make $100,000 or if you bring home $6,000 a month, you should go. You don't have to do it every dollar. You don't have to do it every month. You only have to do it as long as you're making that amount of money. If you get a pay raise or if you add a debt or a liability, then you need to go back and readjust. But all you need to do is sit down and account for your dollars. How much can I use for gasoline? How much can I use for groceries? Because what changes in people's lives is their spending. Their bills don't change. If your mortgage is $2,800, it's $2,800 this month, next month, and the month after that.
Mm.
If it changes, is because maybe the tax base changed or your insurance rate changed, but the change is very, very minuscule and very, very slim. It doesn't change often. So if people were to really say, nobody's going to look at your car note and go, we really like you. We really like you. You don't have to pay this month. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So those bills are due. So if you go through and allocate your resources, and you review that every 6 to 12 months, and you separate like we just talked about, that's what you need to start with, and
Mm.
then you can go make more money.
Of course, of course. Yeah, thank you again for that. You just explained about the insurance rate maybe going up a little, right? Or
Right,
maybe the tax bracket going up a little for whatever
right,
reasons, right?
right.
I found out recently that there's a difference between credit score versus insurance score.
100%.
So how do we know how to go and channelize your credit score? How do we
Mhm.
channelize the insurance score?
Well, it's I like to tell people to do the absolute that you know what to do. You can't you can't control if you get into an accident and your insurance rates change. You can't but what you can control is, are you using the tools that are afforded us? If they give you an opportunity to put a regulator on your car, or to do these different little tools. There's some tools that you can use that, like, insurance companies will use. Well, if you allow us to put this, you turn this app on when you're driving, and we can see that you're driving, or if you attach this little thing under the dashboard, those things will help your insurance rates if your company offers those. But as far as your credit rating with insurance or with the mortgages, your job is to pay on time. Your job is to have no more than 30% of revolving debt. And those are the things that are going to affect your score. Those are the things will affect your insurance. We both know you can't do anything about your tax base, but if you take those precautions, it'll help a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you again for explaining that. And I just learned that recently, almost a couple of months back, and I did not realize that there were two different things. So
Yeah,
thank you again for that, and
no
hopefully
problem.
other people will understand the crucial part when it comes to credit score versus insurance score.
Yes,
We started a new segment for season 3 for Back to Basics, which is the rapid fire round.
let's
In this
go.
rapid fire round, there's a game. You know how it is. You know how you play, right? On this.
Yeah,
So you're ready for this?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Awesome, awesome. So the first word or the first phrase is going to be priority.
Prioritize your spending. Your other things don't change. What changes is your spending. So prioritize what you need the most.
Okay, awesome. The next one is going to be analog versus digital.
Digital. We move it digital, fast-paced society. Get in the flow. Analog is antique, antiquated, and out the door.
Okay, okay. Copper line versus VoIP services.
Ooh, wow. This is where I'm an antique. I've done some VoIP, but man, I haven't bought in yet. I
Okay,
haven't bought in 100% yet.
okay, awesome, awesome. Credit score versus insurance score.
Credit score, your purchasing power. You're trying to leverage the ability to use other people's money to invest in assets that will level up your life.
Okay. Renting versus mortgage.
Ooh, man. Uh, Rapid fire. Okay, we're gonna go with mortgage. However, if you have a mortgage and you can Airbnb it to travel and do some other things, if you have two, then that means you're renting also. So that's my answer.
So you went in circle, didn't you? Okay.
I did.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, needs versus wants.
Needs. It's time to minimalize our spending, go with the needs, table your wants, get financially secure, be solid, be less stressed.
Okay. More money versus losing money.
More money. You can always learn to cut the losses. So get more and more, and hopefully you'll learn to put some bubble gum, dam the hole in the losses.
Okay. You just sounded like Jerry Maguire just now. That whole scene just came in my head right now. Okay. Spending account.
100% get a spending account. Only put the money that is your money to spend for your personal wants and needs in that account.
Okay. FSA versus HSA.
HSA. If you don't have health, you don't have anything. Health spending accounts are critical for people that have conditions and that have families.
Okay. Um, if you had a choice between 15 years versus 30-year loan for your mortgage, which one would you choose?
I would choose the 30-year mortgage and I would pay it on a 15-year interval.
Okay. How about pennies versus dollars.
Dollars all day.
Okay. Salary versus debt.
Salary versus debt. Whew. Good debt. Can we qualify the debt? Good debt. I'm going to choose good debt.
Is it like one of those good cholesterol, bad cholesterol situation?
I don't know, man, about that. Cholesterol's, yeah. Good debt is you're borrowing money to make money, so you're creating passive income. A salary is fixed, and you got to go begging, borrowing, and brown nosing to keep it. But if you're got good debt and you're investing in assets that are appreciating, that you're collecting capital on,
Mm,
now you're the owner.
okay. Okay. New money game.
New money game, Bitcoin, digital currency, cashless society. It's going to be interesting and it's going to be fast.
Okay. Uh, Derek is
A financial expert.
okay. And the last one is going to be back to basics.
Back to basics. Start to investigate these financial circumstances because your money revolves around everything. Your money touches everything. It touches your fitness, it touches your health, it touches every aspect. And if you don't know what's coming down the tube on this financial market, and I'm not talking about investing, I'm talking about the digital currencies and the Bitcoins and all those type things, you're going to be lost and you're going to get taken advantage of.
Mm. Derek, thank you again for playing the rapid fire round
I
for
enjoy.
season 3, and hopefully you were not challenged enough, or should I challenge you more for the next time?
No, you got me, man. There's a couple I might go do some homework on.
Okay, awesome. Thank you again for playing that. So, Derek, let me ask you this: we talked about the analog versus digital, which is
Mhm,
the digital money, as we say, right?
mhm.
Uh,
Right.
so, how do we change people's mind about Bitcoin? Because I think it's a fad, or is it a new thing that we're going to be getting into? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I believe with my whole heart that we are going to have a digital currency. It's going to resemble a Bitcoin type style, but I think that currently it's an investment fad, right? But it's going to end up into a form of currency that we will be using, and more importantly, it's the blockchain that houses the Bitcoin that we really should be learning about because everything happens in the blockchain.
Mm,
So it's here to stay. It's not a solid investment. It's not backed by anything other than supply and demand. So I do think that once it flushes out, it won't be an investment any longer.
mm,
And right now, people that go out and buy a Tesla with Bitcoin and then it drops think that they're heroes. People
mm,
that go out and buy a Tesla with Bitcoin and Bitcoin goes up by $10,000 are really upset. So you don't use Bitcoin or crypto like that for purchasing or daily activities. You use it, if you're going to use it, you use it as an investment and you kind of sit and hold and see what it's going to do.
yeah, thank you again. And there's no right and wrong answer. Let me ask
No,
you this.
no, there's
Do
no crystal ball.
Yeah, there's no crystal ball, but let me ask you this, right? Um, maybe you never know. Maybe I'm wrong by the time at the end of the episode, but it might not happen in our lifetimes. Maybe it might happen much, much later. Do you think that we are not accepting it, or is it the society that we're living in is not accepting it?
Well, I don't believe it's us that's not accepting it. I think we see it coming. We see the applications. We see the variety of potential applications for it. I do believe that there is a hefty portion of the society. If you take seniors and you take some of the baby boomers that are not familiar with it. I mean, I came around. I won't speak for you. I came around when AOL, was coming out, and I was an adult when it came out. So we're seeing the transition from analog, internet to this light speed with cryptocurrency and getting rid of cash potentially. And so I just think that there's a hefty portion of the population that either don't have any money, so they don't care and they don't worry about it because they don't have any money,
Mm,
and the portion of the population that are older and scared to death of change. And so I think it's that middle segment that makes the world go round, that we're accepting it and it's going to happen.
Yeah, thank you again. And Derick, I came from the 1929. Remember, we talked about this. So, so Derick, before we leave today, do you have any last words to all my Back to Basic listeners and viewers? And how is your journey on Back to Basics too? On top of that,
Yeah, my final words would be, if there was a podcast to listen to, if there was a person to follow and track, you're here, because we need to solidify our foundation. We need to understand that if your basics and your foundation are not solid, that you're going to end up having some severe problems, and you're not going to be able to catch up because the world is moving too fast. So with that, I encourage you to follow, to listen, all of the different aspects of life. I'm actually doing really well with it. I did a little talk not too long ago about starting to adopt some minimalist attitudes, meaning I stopped purchasing things just because I had money and they were there. I started to analyze. I'm growing just a few items. I'm starting to can a few items just to, because food is so crazy and you want to know what you're eating and consuming. So I'm a huge advocate, believer, putting my hand on the Bible of Back to Basics.
okay, awesome. Thank you again for that, and thank you again for coming here, and thank you again for all the kind words and the challenges. It seems like I must have challenged you a little.
You got me.
And thank you again for being here and being a sport.
Absolutely. I loved it. I had a great time. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you. So guys, today we spoke with Derick, didn't we? And we talked about money. We talked about analog and digital. And we actually even talked about the analog and the digital back in 1929 and where I was born, according to what Derick said, right? Now, as usual, as always, there is a quote of the day from Back to Basics, and hopefully my guest will like that quote. Money can't buy happiness, but it can make you awfully comfortable while you're being miserable. Too much money is miserable, less money is miserable. I really don't know what to define that. That's up to you to define, because money is one thing that you need to make that life, right? Happiness, sadness, whatever it is, that's your decision to make. Now, as usual, as always, what do we always say at the end of the episode? Everything in life goes back to basics, and that's what we did today, guys. Guys, season 3 is almost over. I'll see you next week on Back to Basics. How was that?
It's awesome, man. You're great at this.
I'm good, aren't I?
You are. No, I didn't say good. I said you're great at this.
Thank you.
I use StreamYard also, and I'm sitting here going, okay, I got to go practice how he does all that. Like making one person bigger.
Hi guys, thank you again for tuning in to Back to Basics and listening to the excellent episode that we had today with our guest. With your love and support, we do need you to at least rate our show, review our show, because it does make us stronger day by day, week by week, as I usually say on my episodes. And there are 3 things in this episode that it makes a hit for me, which is the content, the guest, and definitely the host. So guys, take care, God bless, and remember, everything in life goes back to basics, and that's what we did today, guys. Guys, take care, God bless, and see you next time on Back to Basics.